Homework 1, Life of Pi. If you've been thinking about the movie, possibly you're right, but for now, let's not do that. I want you all to go back to your high school days and think about what was the value of pi. If you don't remember it, well and good. Let's just say or assume or know that it's 3.142. I'm going to give you all a minute where I want you all to memorize at least the first 10 decimal digits of it. If you can do more than 10, perfectly fine, but here's your 1 minute time. Please pause the video for a minute, memorize it and come back. If you have been here after a minute and in the meantime, rather than memorizing, you were thinking, why did I have to memorize this? Then welcome to the club. Possibly this is what your students are thinking about in your classes. And we don't want that kind of classes to be going on, right? We have been talking a lot about AI lately, and what is that which AI cannot do? It can write poems, it can build the stories, it can code for you. Talk about anything which AI cannot do, there's no such scope at all. Considering this as a case, now that the rules of education have changed, do you think it's feasible to have the same kind of classrooms which we once had long ago? Honestly, I don't think that's the case, and whatever is happening is definitely the right thing. Then we are at a phase where we probably need to think and understand how exactly the real world has changed. And trust me, an educator has a major role in telling students that our life is messy. There's so much of ambiguity around us. They were supposed to be understanding and celebrating this messiness. And that's what modern classrooms are supposed to be talking about. This is a place where teachers go ahead, hold the hand and tell students that you are here to embrace that messiness. You're here to celebrate that ambiguity. Imagine you designed a test for the students where you're given a case study of understanding a human ecosystem. And everybody knows what's an ecosystem. The case here is that maybe for student number A, you gave materials, you gave the notes, you gave predefined set of actions on what constitutes an ecosystem. However, there is student B who's kind of mischievous, who doesn't probably see your course content with utmost rigor. What the student rather does is, he goes to the LLM and start giving the prompts. The student probably knows how effectively to use the prompt engineering. The student giving prompts like what constitutes an ecosystem? How do I build a digital ecosystem? So probably there is a student who never concentrated much in the class, but going back to the LLMs, understood much more than what exactly an ecosystem is. When you conducted an exam, probably student A scored good marks, but student B is more future ready because that student now understands what constitutes your real life scenarios. And that exactly is what a modern classroom looks like. AI is not just about a cat which has been killed by the curiosity, but AI is that cat who wants to be part of you, who wants to make you curious, who wants you to understand the different aspects and the culmination of knowledge which is going to come around. And this exactly is what the modern classroom is going to look like. Welcome to the number game. Let us say you're having a class where you're talking a lot of numbers. You prepare this amazing presentation which talks about statistics, which gives all the numbers. You're showing everything which is happening in real time. Like this is the population, this is the inflation rate, this is the amount of population which we are growing with. This is the pollution which is happening in the city. And these are the numbers which have to be curved down to. You've probably built a model where the numbers are amazing, but what's the use, right? Maybe there was once a time where numbers did speak a lot. Trust me, even till date, that is the case. Numbers do make an impact, but that's not where you stop. And if you've stopped there, that's the biggest mistake that we do. We were never supposed to give the numbers and stop there. The question comes around next, what is the inference that you draw from it? Ask the students that this is what the numbers are saying. What is the discussion which you want to take forward? What is the inference you want to draw from that? What is the reflection which you want to take away from that? For every number that you give, ask them to correlate it. Try to identify what are the set of events which are happening. For example, let us say I can get a year-wise summary of the events which have happened from Wikipedia. So I'm going to now take out and say 1920 to 2020. For the 100 years of time, I have got a timeline of all the events. Try to tell them to run the analysis and see what are the major insights that they can get. What is the best inference which I can draw from this? Don't stop it at the number game. I understand numbers are amazing. I understand numbers of life. I understand numbers are giving you so many insights, but please don't stop there. Make them reflect on it. Try to see what they can apply from that. can I use the past numbers to say what impact is going to happen on the future? Try to understand our classes are not just quantitative, our classes are not just qualitative. We don't want to talk only about the numbers. We don't want to talk only about the inferences. We want to have a proper amalgamation of numbers are supported by theories, theories are supported by numbers. Only when we rightly integrate the set of terms which are there, that's when this class is going to have a strengthened mode of education. The kind of things that you talk, the kind of delivery that you do. What now matters is, let's say in a 20 minutes class, you have spoken for 19 minutes and you have just given a simple activity to a student where they explore for 1 minute. Maybe whatever you talk for that 19 minutes is going to have no impact on the students. Rather, you make a crisp presentation of 5 minutes by giving the numbers and by giving the inferences. Then you give the next 15 minutes for the students to go back and explore on that, to infer on that. Of course, with the help of AI, of course, with the modern tools which are there, that's going to be a much more meaningful class. When people are talking that we need to leverage AI into the classrooms, this is one possible thing which they're talking about. Look, yeah, we have so many things around us. Why not make the right use of them so that we can put together the right set of contents? Give a logical conclusion on what those numbers speak and then tell students that this is where you're supposed to be heading at. Maybe every class needs to be giving out a direction of thought to tell this is a number, this is an inference, and I want you all to think in the future direction taking this line of path. And this is not just one, this is one of the many paths which you can see. And possibly taking numbers, taking data, putting together the qualitative and the quantitative part is going to make a lot of sense. To try it in your class, you're going to feel amazed about how students are taking away from your classes and what they're going to come up next day to present their inferences. Try it out. Do you know there is a company which allows you to assemble the furniture? All you're supposed to do is order something, bring in from the market, put all the pieces and parts on the floor, follow the manual instructions and try to put them together. If you can't do it, if the instructions are very confusing, then you call a friend. If your friend cannot do it, call another friend or look at a video online and then try to assemble things. Don't you think it's so much fun when you're actually reading a manual and trying to experiment something? There's no teacher, by the way. You're supposed to do it and then you're supposed to understand it. By the way, I'm pretty sure you would have known what company I was talking about when I was saying assemble the furniture. Why can't modern classrooms be structured in that format? Don't you think it'll be fun if students get a set of instructions and these instructions can be like a treasure hunt? Can you prepare a set of clues where students are going to decrypt those clues one by one, take a hint from each of them, put them together to devise a solution for a problem? Why can't we devise such a furniture at a conceptual level where putting together a fill in the blanks? Let's say you've given them a question where there are 5 blanks given to them. Each of a blank is like a nut and bolt of your furniture. You need to glue them together to see a final solution. I think it's going to be super fun where you structure your entire classroom maybe for 20 minutes. Then go ahead and ask students to assemble it, probably in a team activity where there are 5 clues and each student is working on a clue if you have a time limit. If you have a solid 1 hour, give it to a students individually or ask them to solve the problem one by one and then structure the concept what you want to teach. After that, design the reflection problems, check around how this is suitable to work around and then structure your class. Check out which learning outcome is it going to meet for you all. If you haven't written a learning outcome, go to the AI, say this is the activity which I want to design, this is how my reflection questions are going to be, or can you help me write a learning outcome? Now whatever that tool gives will be the most appropriate one for your class that you're going to design. Try it out, let's see how fun it's going to be. Next time you walk into the classroom, make sure to go with a newspaper headline. Go and browse out what is happening around the world. Pick up one which you think is going to connect to your class. Put it out in the classroom and tell them to ask 5 meaningful questions out of it. I'll repeat it again. Don't ask your students on what do they understand by it. Don't go into the debate and discussion of what they think about it. Ask them to generate 5 meaningful questions from that news headline. Again, not the answers, not the thoughts, not the debate, not the discussion, 5 questions. Make sure that they're not referring to any of the LLMs so that they go back and ask the tools which it is giving. Rather, let them come up from their own thoughts. Tell them to keep all their phones, laptops, any gadgets which they have back in their bags. Give them a piece of pen and paper and tell them to write 5 meaningful questions. And every student must write 5 meaningful questions. Be it simple, be it complex, be it of any level, everyone has to do. After that activity, go back and then ask them to give the same question to the LLM of their choice, whatever they want to pick, and ask them to generate 5 questions. Now, tell every student to compare the questions given by LLM and the questions which they have written. If you can document this as a text document and also give this document back again to the LLM. I conducted this survey where I told write 5 questions for the student and here is a document. And I said write 5 questions to the LLM and here is a question. Can you compare and correlate now what is the difference in thought? Remember, we were talking about analytical thinking, we were talking about active learning, we were talking about curiosity. This is how you bring them into the classrooms. Remember, our mind is also an LLM. It's only that the data by which our mind is trained is very limited. A lot of times, this is based on our past experiences. We usually bring in those things into the table which our memory is very fond of. Maybe there was recent 10 things, and you can also observe this by the students they write. Most of the questions they generate will be dependent on the kind of activities they did in the last few days, because that's what mind remembers. Only if a student is thinking deep, they'll be bringing or they'll be able to put forth a lot of intriguing questions onto the table. If you ever think of discovery-oriented learning, if you ever think of the means by which you can bring in more curiosity into the classrooms, this is how your sessions are supposed to start. I told you that it has to be a newspaper headline. Now that need not be the only one, right? You can actually put forth a sentence which could now relate to the concept you're going to teach. And if that concept has a lot of social element, and if you can relate with an example and bring in a lot of real-time scenarios into the classroom, this is one activity you should try. After the summary which you get from students written and LLM written, you compare both of them, you put them together into a single bucket, and then you say, look, this is how we are going to infer from it, this is how we are going to get the reflections from it, and this is what we are going to study today. Try that out. Let us talk a little about connectivism. Connectivism is one of the recent theories which talks about how every resource today is accessible and connected in the modern world. Because we are in digital space, no matter what video you ask for, textual data you ask for, any resources which you are looking for is at a hand's reach. It becomes easier for a student to request or to search for the data in the variety of format and then pull up the data in the required format in no time. Now your classroom has to take advantage of that. It's not necessary for a faculty to actually go home, prepare for each and every part, come back and deliver the exact same thing into the classroom. Connectivism is that theory which tells you to make the best of all possible options that you have in front of you. If you know that there is this amazing paper written on the area which you can ask students to read and come before the class, do it. It's not necessary that you have to be covering A to Z, 1 to 100, each part of the concept you're teaching. We have the flexibility to make the best use of everything which is around us. Connectivism tells that how to use, how to leverage these technical advancements into the classrooms. Plan a class where you have around 10 different modes of delivery components. What I'm trying to say is, go and check out one of the most widely or a complex phenomenon from your course. Try to find out what kind of ready resources are available on the web. It can be a video, it can be an image prompt, it can be a textual data written, it can be the most modern paper which connects and bridges the gaps between the classics and the contemporaries, or there might be an interesting project which was done out. Put them all together. Prepare a systematic flow on what can go into the classrooms which you want to deal with. See if you can go ahead and give a particular small homework to the students before they come into the class. Be careful, you cannot ask or assign students with a job of 1 hour to be completed before coming to the class. I would highly recommend keep it a short activity of 10 or 15 minutes, or give them a short article to be read which you might have posted on your blog as well, and ask them to read and come before coming to the class. You can have a short quiz in the class so that to ensure that students have actually done the work. Now, if you give out a video and say, watch this 1 hour documentary before coming to the class, 99% of the times, students are not going to do it. Let's say everybody has started the video. There is a high chance that they have just scrolled the video, or they have asked the LLM to give the summary of it. Make your objectives very, very clear. Use the advantages of connectivism which is present. If anything which is existing, which is on par, which is in line with your learning outcomes, bring them into the classrooms. Put your effort elsewhere. You don't need to explain a concept which is already presented by someone else in the most perfectionist manner. Make it as a part of your class resource. Credit and give credibility to the original resource person who has actually done it. Now you, on building on top of this, bring out your classroom favors so that you can actually connect to your demographic knowledge. Maybe you have an industry in your area which is working on a problem which is extension of what you're teaching. Bring that into the classroom. Wherever possible, structure your class in such a way that you're using or you're making the best use of resources that you have. Now that is what your connectivism talks about. Though it might say that world is a connected place and internet is giving you all the resources at hand, it depends on how you perceive this definition. This learning theory asks you to take advantage of everything which is beneficial and there to you at the hand's reach. How much of it are you going to use? Along with 101 misconceptions, I think I can also write a book on 101 ways to scare off your students. Okay, I'll tell you how to do it. Now tell your students that I'm going to ask you a definitional question. Say for example, define me what is atmosphere, what is ecosystem. Don't you think all LLMs can answer this? And if a LLM can answer this, why do we need students? Tell them their degree is obsolete if they're answering like ChatGPT. Don't you think they need to do more than that? They were supposed to be having a knowledge which gives them beyond what ChatGPT can do. It means they need reflection capabilities. It means they need certain skills and aspects which usually a tool cannot do. Now, these are the things which you need to tell students that my tests are not going to be at Bloom's level 1, 2, 3. If you're following any other taxonomy other than that, you should exactly be quoting the same. You're not going to test students on a simpler problem skills. Maybe there's going to be a proportion on that, but not more than 20%, maybe not more than 30%. You want to design your questions in such a way that most of those questions are not answered correctly by the LLM tools. They're mostly answered, but not in a complete appropriate way. I want you all to show them on how LLM still needs an improvement. And any question which can be easily and correctly answered by such tools are not part of your assessments, because we don't need modern graduates to be answering exactly same as what an LLM is doing. We need people to be having more cognitive capabilities than that. We need people who have a good critical thinking. We need people who are having good analytical skills to solve a problem, something which a machine cannot directly do or has a biased way of doing it. Now, this is the kind of questions and assessments you need to ask. So I would say, don't be silly. Don't ask those all lame, no-voice questions which are easily solved or easily available. We need to go beyond. Maybe this is also an indicator to say we need to go beyond the Bloom's level. How many of you have heard of solo taxonomy? How many of you have heard of Fink's taxonomy? Have you heard of Dublin descriptors? Did you ever go ahead and try that in my classroom? I'm going to use one of them and give up the Bloom's taxonomy. Or if you don't want to use, reformulate and give an LLM and say, generate me the questions of this kind. The questions and discussion ahead can be taken accordingly.